Corporations are giving more to politicians than at any other point in American history. The question is, what are they getting in return for this investment? Joining me now to help answer that question is attorney David TeSelle. So, David, we've talked a lot on this show about how corporations are just pouring more money than ever into political campaigns, into lobbying. But one of the things that's really been relatively hidden all these years is what they are getting in return. Now we have this new report out from the Sunlight Foundation that really just lays bare everything that corporations are getting from all of this money. Take it from the top.
The Sunlight Foundation, for everybody's benefit, is a nonpartisan, nonprofit, open government organization. And they looked at the 3 years before Citizens United and the 3 years after to see what type of influence the top 200 companies that are politically active are actually getting. And what they found was really astounding. For the $5.8 billion that was paid in from 2007 to 2012 on federal elections, they received $4.4 trillion, that's trillion with a T, in government benefits. That's a return on every dollar of $760 to the benefit of the corporations.
So for every $1 that they put into a campaign, they get a $760 benefit. You just pointed out, they're spending billions and they're getting trillions in return. And on top of that, we also find out from the Sunlight Foundation, they have, as many as I think about 20,500 lobbyists, out there every day in Washington, D.C., fighting for the interest of these corporations. I mean, these are not groups that are fighting on behalf of people. These are all for corporations to kill labor laws, to kill environmental regulations, to kill Wall Street regulations, to kill everything under the sun that they believe might hurt their business. And according to this report, it looks like they're winning.
It does. It looks like that exactly, and it's really astounding. I mean, I think we need to start with the Citizens United decision. And I know most of the viewers of this show know about that and are really astute about that, but it's important to talk about. The Citizens United decision was a U.S. Supreme Court decision in 2010 that basically said the First Amendment protected corporations and corporations' ability to dump unlimited amounts of money into our elections. And one of the reasons the court said they could do it in a 5-4 vote with the conservatives swinging the balance, one of the reasons they said that this was allowed is that this would not cause corruption or even the appearance of corruption in our political system. And in fact, what this study is showing is the exact opposite, is that the corporations are flooding these elections with billions and billions of dollars to exclude the voice of the regular person. I mean, what really is harmed here is democracy and the regular person's ability to have a say in what we're going to do in this country. And that's what's really just sad at this point.
And, they're not just over there buying corporations. This is now part of everyday business. I mean, they've essentially partnered with the federal government as if they would, merge with another company in the same industry. Say now, basically, instead of having Exxon and Mobil, they become Exxon Mobil, but now it's Exxon Mobil U.S. Congress. I mean, that's really what's happened here.
And what's even worse, what's even scarier, Farron, is that we're not just talking about the Exxons and the McDonald's and the Walmarts. We're talking about the biggest. Let's look at what the Sunlight Foundation found is that the biggest winners of this corporate, this government bailout for corporations were the banks, were UBS, were Deutsche Bank, were all of the Credit Suisse. And those are the three biggest, and they are not even American companies. We're talking about our government partnering with foreign corporations to write laws and give money to them for their benefit at the expense of the American taxpayer. Something's gone wrong here, and there needs to be a change.
And one of the problems is that these trillions of dollars in returns that they get after spending billions is that they then take those trillions and spend it on more politicians. As we've discussed on this show before, especially the bankers, they're giving pretty much evenly to both the Democrats and the Republicans. That way, that's like walking up to a roulette table, putting down a $5 chip on every number on the table. Yeah, you may lose a little, but regardless, you're going to win something. And that's essentially what they've done. This Wall Street casino is betting on every single politician, win or lose, they win.
Right, but it's rigged. I mean, it's still rigged, which is it's not just betting, but the idea that there's not some corruption or appearance of corruption that's being affected here, where the corporations, once they give this money, they at least have access to these politicians, whether they're Democratic or Republican. And once they have that access, they can sit down and say, you know what, if we don't get A, B, and C, which is what we want, we'll take our big pile of money and give it to the other side, whether it's a Republican or a Democrat, and you'll lose the next time around. That's the way this is working. So yeah, is it a bag full of money? Is this American hustle where somebody's got maybe sometimes it is, but is that what we're talking about here? No, but we're talking about the ability of these corporations to control the congressman and the senator, whether he's a Democrat or she's a Republican or an independent.
And as you just pointed out, it is all about access. If you get a phone call in your office from somebody that gave $2 million to your campaign, you're going to pick up that phone and you're going to listen to what they had to say. And that's a large part of what the Sunlight Foundation found out is, they have the access. We don't have it. Right. I don't have it. I don't have a lobbyist up there in Washington fighting for anything that I need, but these guys do, and they have the access. If they're not the ones making the phone call, then those lobbyists are up there making those phone calls on their behalf.
Right. I mean, and time after time, the polls that are being done out there are showing that the American people still have some level of confidence in their own local government, because the places that really aren't being affected by this flood of corporate money. But at the federal level, people just don't trust that their congressman or their senator is looking out for them. And what happens is you have less turnout, you have less participation in the democratic process, and once you have that happen, you have a loss of a belief and a loss of confidence in our country as a whole. And again, that is something that really has to change. Our Constitution was not created to protect corporations that have no lifespan, that have no purpose for being other than to make a gob of money. They're for the people, and they should be protecting the people of the country.
It's time for a new constitutional amendment. We have to get this big money influence out of politics. We have to get the politicians out of the pockets of corporations. And unfortunately, right now, it's very hard to get any kind of legislation or constitutional amendment on that, because the people who would have to do that are the same ones who've already been purchased by the corporations.
Right.
So
that's you have this groundswell, not just in isolated places, but many states where people have really started to get together and tried to push to get it, like you said, a constitutional amendment to address this issue. The problem is that to have that passed by the state legislatures, which are being controlled by this same corporate money, it's almost a losing game.
It is. Absolutely. Dave TeSelle, thank you so much for telling us this story. Certainly something we're going to be following into the new year, especially as we head into the 2016 elections. Things are going to heat up again. Thank you so much for telling us this story today.